Hello again, everyone. This is Sincere of Teacher Sincere's channel, and welcome again. So this video was a very unplanned video, but I got kind of shaken up, and I thought I would share a couple of things that really got me thinking very deeply. Not that I don't often think deeply, but this has to do with on my channel. You know, I did two videos having to do with ancient Egypt. I did one on ancient Egypt about the Netflix Cleopatra, and then I also did a flip through of a book about the Nubian pharaohs. And you know, I'm not surprised. I got some comments, whereas before, you know, my channel was kind of ignored. My channel is just steadily growing now. But I was not surprised by these comments, and not really shaken, but just sort of exasperated, to say the least. But I really came on today because I was checking my comments. I had come back home from doing, this is my shopping day, and my mother and I had just gotten back home, and I just happened to check the comments on my video about the Nubian pharaohs. And someone had left a comment, and they had a photo, and they looked African American. So recently, the comments that really got me thinking and sort of exasperated came from African Americans. Okay, people that live in the United States, just like me, that have lived here all their lives. Me, I've lived here most of my life, but I've also lived abroad. I've lived in Turkey, and I've also lived in the African nation of Botswana. So it really got me thinking about, and I know this, of course, okay, being a person that's an educated person. I'm not a great speaker. I know that. I have my limitations on speaking. I'm also an introvert, so that works against me. But, however, this comment really, it really shows the importance of reading and being very discerning about what you read. It also shows the importance of travel. It also shows the importance of not just listening to anybody and listening to people that are saying things that you want to hear. Okay? So the comment, and I wish I had saved it. I wish I had did a snip and cut of it, and then I could have put it up to let you see it, but I guess it's better not to. And you know, I have to wonder about these comments. Are these comments coming from human beings, or are they coming from bots? Okay, are they coming from military sock puppets? Okay, because the government actually has what they call sock puppets. They have people working on multiple accounts, and they're sending out stuff, but I don't know. I don't know, but it's very strange. Okay, it's very bizarre. But this was the comment that this person left, and I went ahead and blocked him. Okay, if it was actually a him, there was a photograph up. It looked grainy looking photo. Usually these photos or these accounts will have nothing on it or some kind of weird avatar. And in the case of one the other day that was very insulting, it was like spamming my the comment section. He was trying to pick a fight with me, and I just blocked him because I'm not going to tolerate this kind of disrespect. Because the thing is this with my people. Now, this is not what all African Americans, but a lot of African Americans feel because you're black, as they say, that we can say anything to you, and you don't have to, and I don't have to respect you. And no, it doesn't work like that. Not with me. Okay, I'm not going to argue with you. You can have your opinions. I'm not policing your channel, and you shouldn't be policing my channel. But I do have the right to block you. Okay, and if you come on my channel with nonsense, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to argue with you. I think it was Mark Twain or somebody was saying about, you know, that you basically make yourself into a fool by arguing with a fool. Okay, but this is what happened. Today's comment was left, and I saw, and he basically said that something about with Cleopatra, and that Asia didn't exist at that time. Asia didn't exist. I mean, what is he exactly trying to say? I mean, the continent of Asia did not exist. Sure, it may have had a different name. In fact, I think the name of Asia did not come along. The Greeks' name gave what was basically part of Turkey, the Anatolian part of Turkey. Okay, the Asian side of Turkey was actually the first part of that continent that was called Asia, sure. And it's mentioned in Herodotus, okay? But, and then later they used the term to cover the entire continent. But see, the thing about the names for cities and towns in different places, they're often in flux, okay? Now, many of the ancient names that you see in the Bible, I did mention the Bible, and I mentioned about King Taharka, Pharaoh Taharka, who was actually Cushite or Nubian, and he actually ruled Egypt, okay? Ruled Egypt and both Cush. King Taharka actually, it's mentioned in the Bible, and I've seen this argument with some African Americans before, that the Bible was fake, that the Bible was made up by Hollywood, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is this, guys, I teach, many of my students live in Asia, okay? I teach Arabs. I teach Turkish people. Some of them live on the Anatolian side of Turkey. Others live on the European side. Turkey is actually split into two continents. There are two countries in the world that are on two continents, Russia and Turkey. And the city of Istanbul in Turkey, one side of the city is on the European side and the other's on the Asian side. Okay, and I've lived on both sides. I have lived on 4 continents, North America, Africa, and the European and Asian side of Turkey, okay? Now, I'm not as well traveled as I want to be, but I have been outside the country. And I teach people that live in other parts of the world, okay? I have students, I teach students. The majority of my Arab students live in Saudi Arabia, but I've taught students in Qatar, Iraq, Lebanon. If you look on my timeline, I have a video I did a few weeks ago about my Lebanese student that lives in Beirut, my former student. Okay. Through social media, there are Arab people that follow me, Turkish people. Most of my students, like I said, the majority of my students, I didn't say, but actually, majority of my students live in Asia, on the continent of Asia. Turkey, Saudi Arabia, these are my regular students. Japan. Okay, I have 2 of my Japanese students are actually living here in the United States at this time. There are 2 married ladies and their husbands are Japanese that are working for companies here. Okay, but my students, a lot of my students are well traveled. Okay, and I don't know what to say. This very strange, bizarre way of thinking, because yeah, the names of countries, some cities and things, they do change over time. They do evolve over time. But I'll give you an example. About a year ago, there was we would say in America, he's black. Okay. But like I said before, Arab people don't use that kind of terminology, and you cannot go and apply. You see, the thing is this, the United States is in a very isolated part of the world. One disadvantage for Americans is this: we live on a very isolated continent, okay? Very isolated. We're not in the situation where like you have Asia, Europe, and Africa all pretty much just stuck there together. Okay. And for centuries, there's been interaction between those 3 continents. But America is so far away that we don't really interact. Okay. And the mindset, you see, different cultures have different mindsets. Okay. And, people say, oh, racism is ingrained into the American psyche. Yeah, I would say so. But also xenophobia is. Okay. And xenophobia is fear of foreigners. And often when foreigners come to this country, a lot of Americans don't interact with foreign people from other countries. When I had Turkish students living here in my hometown that were working on some of them were working on their master's degrees, others were working on their doctorates. Now all of them are in academia now, okay? And they told me they had been living here for years because, when you work on a doctorate can take up to about 6 or 7 years. They had been living here and they were asking me after about 5 or 6 years, how do you make friends here? And I told them it's difficult. It's difficult. It's very difficult. And because Americans just we start when we're children, just in this little group, and if you're not in this group, if you're this way, and this is very limiting. It's a very limited way of existing. Okay. And so it's sort of ingrained to be like, we don't know anything about those people. We're not going to try to make friends with them, ask them questions. We already know everything, so we're not going to ask them anything. Okay. They can't teach me anything because, they're just foreigners. People just brush them off immediately. Okay. One thing I've been told as an American person, and I'm a what they call a black woman, I'm African American, I'm a woman. I've been told by people in other countries, Turks, Arabs, others, Africans, you don't act like most Americans. One thing is, I'm not afraid of foreigners. Okay. One of my best friends when I was in graduate school was someone from Germany. She was an exchange student. And I learned so much from her. I see people from other cultures, particularly old countries that are older than the United States. So you have to understand, America's a young country. It's a little bit less than 250 years old. It might be, it'll soon be 250 years old. And it's a lot we don't know. Plus, being geographically isolated really affects the way people see the rest of the world. And then when you add in the government and the media, the way it's done into the mix, it causes people to be xenophobic and also not to value history. Because when you have a society that is based very much in the pursuit of money, history is something that's like, that's not a necessity. That can't earn me any kind of income, okay? Unless I'm a historian or something, person in academia or work at a museum or something, maybe a librarian, okay? But yeah, I was just shocked. These places don't exist. But getting back to the young man that I met, that was he lived in Israel, and we would call him black here in the United States, okay? He looked darker than me. Okay, hair texture was just a little bit more looser than mine, but not much. And he was not an Ethiopian Jew. You know what he was? He was an Israeli Arab. Yeah, an Israeli Arab. And he lived in a city called Beersheba. Now, if you look in the Bible, Beersheba is mentioned a lot. It's not made up. Okay? So, yeah, the names do change in different places, but I don't know what this person's point was about Asia didn't exist. What was he saying? Maybe I should engage with him and find out, what do you mean? But like I said, I don't have time for this. I really don't. And then earlier, after the Cleopatra video was posted, somebody with they always have the King Tut death mask on their pages. I'm like, what's this obsession? There were no more pharaohs but King Tut? Tutankhamun? Really? I don't know. But anyway, they had the King Tut death mask on as their avatar. And they made these comments basically saying that I didn't know what I was talking about, and basically in so many words, I'm just paraphrasing, and that the Macedonians were black, that everybody basically was black, and that somehow they just turned white over the centuries. I mean, and then I got one the other day that was saying that the kingdom of Cush, that all the pharaohs, that the Cushites ruled Egypt back 15,000 years ago. Egypt goes back 15,000 years, huh? And I'm going to argue with this. No, it's not worth my time. Okay. But I just wanted to make this video to say why, ignorance can become very elaborate and extravagant. It really can. Okay. And people just assume, I guess, me being, a lot of people in the United States, the average American does not even have a passport. I have a passport. Okay. And like I said, I have lived in a lot of countries. I have students that I teach, particularly some of my Arab students that have been to a lot of countries. Some of my Turkish students have too. These are highly educated people. I have Japanese students that have traveled a good bit. So it just depends on the students. Some of my students are very well traveled, and others, a few countries. Okay. And me, what I do to compensate for my, because, travel can be very expensive. But what I do to compensate for not traveling to a lot of places is I read. And the choices for reading is endless. It's not like the television. The television is very limited. Like they recycled Cleopatra, that was recycled. I have a video coming up soon about another African queen. That's really not, you have to do your research about her, but she was talked about by some of the ancient Greek writers. Okay. And I will present that subject later, but I don't know. It's tragic what ignorance can do. And I'm not saying this about all African-American people, okay? Because I follow some highly intelligent African-American people on YouTube. Okay, they have channels. People like Dayz of Noah, Brother Theo of Unplugem channel. There's Comfycozyup. But she's not like, on the intellectual side, but she does very well, pretty good with the books and things like that. But I don't know why, this is why I ended up in many ways teaching. I joke about it. This is why I end up teaching Arabs and Turks and Chinese and Japanese people and Brazilians, because I can get respect as an educator, whereas I can't even get it from my own people. I taught in the school system here in the United States. And if you want to find out about the horrors of teaching in the United States and the unteachable spirit of many of my fellow citizens, both black and white, there's a channel called Teacher Therapy. And I will probably put it in the link below. You can check out her channel so you can find out what teachers go through. What I was going through back in the early 1990s teaching. And I had to get out of it because it made me very, very ill in the end. Very ill. And I did not really come into my own as an educator until I started teaching people abroad. Now, I don't live abroad now. I live in the United States. But I still teach online, and I teach, like I said, my students, big chunk of them live in Asia. So I don't know what his point was. But it's sad. And I hope that things will change for a lot of Americans and for my people. Because education is valuable. And it's not a good look to be ignorant. And it's very tragic to go and browbeat. There's a book, an old book. I really want to read it. I found out about this book from he sometimes is on YouTube, but he doesn't have a channel. And we used to be Facebook friends until he closed his account. But this person's a guy, he did like alternative news. He's from the United States, and he was Latino. He ended up moving to Serbia because he said Serbia, they appreciate the intellect more than they do here in the United States. But he had a book. He took a picture one time of some of his books and posted them on Facebook. And one of them that caught my eye was Anti-Intellectualism in America. This is an old book written probably early 1960s. And I think you can probably, I don't know if you can access it. There may be a PDF, but you can get it online. But yeah, the anti-intellectual spirit has been here a long time. Okay. And African Americans, we have our intellectuals. Okay. But we have to face the thing of, oh, you think you're white. Oh, you think you're better than anybody else. Oh, this and that. How are we supposed to better ourselves as people? Why do we feel that, we've already been told that you're nothing, okay, over the centuries. And then you go and say, okay, I'm going to go along with the stereotype that's been put out there. Some of us are trying to break the stereotypes. We're trying to break the stereotypes. And I think that's a great thing. And when I went into education, I did not go into education initially to teach Turkish people, Arab people, and so forth. I went into education in the beginning as a young person after I got out of graduate school because I wanted to help my own people, but I couldn't. I was not going to continue to be insulted, abused, treated like garbage. Why can't we get on people's channel instead of bringing up non-issues or insulting people like you don't know? Where was Asia? It didn't exist. Watch some travel channels, okay? I am subscribed to a lot of travel vlogs. And believe me, these places existed and they still exist. When I lived in Turkey, I was living in the land of kingdoms and empires. What is now Turkey used to be called Asia Minor. And I lived in basically what was once the Byzantine or Eastern Roman Empire, and later the Ottoman Empire. I lived among the descendants of these people. And sure, I would love to visit. So I've been invited by Saudis to visit their country, to even convert to Islam. I've been mistaken as a Muslim. And I feel a strong closeness to Muslims, even though I'm Christian. So I don't know. It's very funny. It's humor. Initially the feeling when something like this happens, when something like this happens, initially my feeling is like total cringe and anger. Okay. And then it's like, why am I getting angry at this? This is ridiculous. This person doesn't even know me. And they just assume, I guess I'm just talking. I haven't been anywhere. And yes, guys, if I had to put show my degrees, degrees mean nothing. Maybe I need to post some pictures of myself in front of Hagia Sophia in Turkey, which was once the biggest church in Christendom. Maybe I need to show some of the different old pictures and things I have of myself in Turkey. I don't like to put my, personal pictures out for the world to see, okay? My channel is basically, I did this channel because I believe in the value of education, books, knowledge, and understanding about life. That's why I created this channel. This channel is not to get any kind of social clout, pat on the back. I don't want to be insulted. I would prefer to be praised than insulted, but if I don't get praised, fine. Good enough praise for me is just a thumb up my channel. But to get on my channel and to say things like, Asia didn't exist, or Macedonians were black, and Greeks were black, and I'm like, are you sure you're not a bot? See, the thing is this, a lot of people don't know themselves, and they would feel like, I can laugh at it because I'm like, Teacher Sincere knows herself, okay? I know myself. Now, if you had came at me when I was maybe 40 years ago, 30 years ago, I would say maybe even 20 years ago. But I know who I am, and it's not a big deal, okay? And it's sad. It's sad, guys. I wish so much I could help my people. I really do. It's what can I say? I can't say I didn't expect it. I can't say I didn't expect it. I knew when I put the video up about Cleopatra, and even this about the Nubian kings, that some people were going to come along of a certain persuasion or several, and they were going to try to insult me in an indirect way and tell me I didn't know anything, and for basically me to shut up. And the strange thing is I'm not on their channel. I don't know them, and I'm not trying to police their channel and tell them what to say. In the African American community, well, I think a lot of our people don't do as well as they do because we basically live in a sort of mental dictatorship. If you sort of step out of these boundaries, I mean, we had boundaries on the plantation with the slave masters had. You can't go any further than this without a pass. Okay. And still, we have this mental plantation where some of us that are trying to get off the plantation, they've gotten off the plantation. They're trying to drag us back in. When we're trying to help you and we're trying to help other people. Okay? So, but that's what my channel is for. I'm not out here trying to get social clout. I'm not trying to be something that I'm not. I'm telling stuff to the best of my knowledge. And also, I give theories as well. I try to give sensible theories. Not this way out in left field, out of space, alien kind of, I don't know what kind of thinking it is. I'm not into that. Okay. I'm just not into that. I'm just a regular teacher. Okay. A regular educator. I teach English. I'm a history lover. I love cultures, but I never encounter this I teach also Chinese people. Last night I was teaching a Chinese lady that's living here in the United States. And I also teach people sometimes. Sometimes I get calls from China, but the time of day that I actually teach, it's like late night there because there's like a 13-hour difference between where I am and where it is in East Asia. So a lot of my students, when I teach, they are generally, it's better for the people that live in the Middle East. Because when I'm teaching like in the afternoons, early evenings, it's better for people in the Middle East and also in Brazil. So I don't get a lot of people in East Asia, but I do get some people in East Asia, but usually it will be later in the evening. And it's like early morning there, and they will do lessons with me. But I never have them coming along saying, I will have things from students saying I'm the best teacher on the platform that I teach. I don't know about that. I might be, I don't know. I have my doubts. So I think I'm a pretty good teacher. I do. Okay. And like I said, I've had people tell me Arabs, Turks, Africans, you're not like other Americans. Yeah, because I don't think that I'm better or that these people are foreigners. I don't think I have a teachable spirit. I'm always learning. I'm always looking forward to reading more books, discovering more things. So, but I just thought I'd share this with you because this is the thing. It is very important. The people that you keep company with, if you don't know anything, there's a saying, the blind can't lead the blind. If you don't know anything and then you go to people that don't know anything, the blind can't lead the blind. They ultimately fall in the ditch. Okay. And then it is very important to read. If you can't travel, read. But if you can travel. Okay. And then you can travel virtually because you can get on platforms like on Goodreads. I'm on Goodreads.com. And the earliest people that sent me friend requests on Goodreads were in North Africa. They were in North Africa, Algeria, Egypt. And I think maybe someone in Tunisia. On Goodreads, I don't have a huge friends list, over 300. I have like 300 or so. But it's a mix of people in Americans, Eastern Europeans, Africans, Arabs. Yeah. Same on Twitter. I'm not in Black Twitter. I'm just on Twitter. Okay. So the people that follow me on Twitter, there are a lot of people. I probably have more white and African and Arab followers and Indian followers on Twitter than I do have African American. There are some African Americans, but I'm not talking about, a lot of things that are cool. I'm not talking about the cool stuff. Okay. So I don't get, a lot of my own people. I wish they did. They might could learn something. But I'm going to end here. But just something to think about. I thought I would post this. And like I said, I wasn't surprised at the kind of feedback that I would get. I mean, it wasn't really feedback. It was just attacking, just coming in, basically telling me that I know nothing. Maybe I don't. Maybe I just imagined that I lived in Turkey and Botswana, and maybe I'm just imagining that I teach people in other countries. Maybe this is my imagination. Could be. Could be. But I don't think so, guys. I am who I say I am, and I do this. So this is just food for thought. And I hope that that mindsets will someday be changed. So this is Sincere. Until next time.